Mind me asking, which one do you do?
We'll get to that. I just want to know what you got from the video.
Okay.
All right. So, and you're gonna be mad at me because I thought what you said went here and then it just went that way.
No, it's okay.
So please repeat yourself.
I would say, I said I didn't really too much know about all this other
Entity? Because they're gonna be called entity.
entities. All these other entities. I only heard of LLC, and from social media, it really sounded like that you needed an LLC to run your business, so it could be good, I guess.
Okay.
But after watching the video, I would want to do an S corp.
Okay.
For my business after I get a lot of income and things like that.
Okay. Awesome. Good.
And can you send that video to me?
I will. Yes, I will. I'll do that. How about you, Josephine?
Well, I learned a little about the different types of entities, sole proprietorship and LLC. I think I'm more interested in LLC, because you're not, if anything happens, you're not reliable. Sole proprietorship, she said that in the video, if you're working with people that you know, family members, those are your clients, then that would be better. Corporation. I didn't know about C corporation and S corporation too much, but she said that C corporation is when you, join partners with your business, have a tax, they tax your business and they tax you. So I don't know how that works. How can they tax your business and still tax you?
Awesome.
It's not expensive.
Those are all good. So Anna, what did you get from that video? And if you don't know, it's okay to not know. All right, good. So, sole proprietorship, what that means is when you have your own business and you go to Secretary of State to go open up, they're going to ask you what entity. Sole proprietorship, when you open your business and get your business name bought, they're going to ask you, they're going to give you a number to call the IRS. When you call the IRS is going to give you what they call an EIN number. And then also you get a state tax ID number for your business. State tax ID number, as long as you keep doing business, your state will tax you, right? For instance, if you're selling product, like the beauty supply, they will tax you. Your EIN, technically what that is, it is your business social. Your business social security number. They're going to give that to you. Now, you're going to go, and then during taxes, or even before taxes, you're going to then take that business that you set up, you're going to try to figure out how that business is going to pay taxes. So, sole proprietorship, partnership, C Corp, S Corp, LLC, they are all just business entity. They are how your business is registered to pay taxes. Not how I register my business to function as a business. Does that make sense? For instance, we're going to use Yaya Natural Hair Care. If Yaya Natural Hair Care goes and buy Yaya Natural Hair Care, you can buy your Yaya Natural Hair Care and not get an entity and not pay taxes. One day we'll catch up with you because as you're making money from your bank and they see that your bank is increasing, they are going to report you themselves. The bank reports you to the IRS saying that, well, there's money coming in. You're going to have to explain to the IRS where all that money is coming in from. So that's why, as you register your business, you would have to, right there at the Secretary of State, they're going to say, hey, call the IRS so you can get an EIN, because they don't want you to run into that problem. Does that make sense? Meaning, I can register a business. A lot of Africans do it. I can register a business, forgive me, I'm African. I can register a business, but then I don't get an incorporation for my business. But eventually it leads to trouble. So now let's bring down to how do you get incorporated? When you do a sole proprietorship, if that's what you want to use as your vehicle to pay your taxes, number. So you're going to get an EIN, but when it's time to pay those taxes, that tax liability falls on you. And then, because it falls on you, there's also a business self-employment taxes the IRS is going to ask you to pay just by being a solopreneur. It's the cost of doing business, because what you're trying to tell the IRS now is Yaya Natural Hair Braiding is the same as Ayana. There's no two people, it's just one person. Ayana gets to put all the money she makes at Yaya Natural Hair Braiding in a personal bank account. Ayana gets to do everything it's just personal. There's no difference. There's no differentiation between you and the business. It's just you. So when it's time to pay the taxes, you would have what they call a self-employment tax penalty, because all of the receivable, all of the money, all of the income comes to you. So you are going to be liable for that self-employment tax portion of your business. Does that make sense?
Yes, that seems like a lot.
But does that make sense? So, because I don't want you guys to get confused now. So next one brings us to partnership. So Ayana and Jojo, I would say Ayana and Jojo, decided that they want to join business. When they go ahead and go apply for their business license, then when it's time to do incorporation, the same thing happened. When the tax liability comes, when it's time to withdraw taxes, they made $100,000. They split 50-50, 50 grand, 50 grand. That tax penalty is attached to Ayana's social and Jojo's social. The self-employment, which is the tax penalties, it's just in your name. So that you will be liable for any tax penalty that you get from having a partnership. And it's going to be in both names. Because that business is attached to both social. It's not standing alone.
How long does that last, though?
As long as you want it to last, because that's your entity. That's how you choose to incorporate your business. It's a business incorporation. That's how you decide to incorporate. That's your vehicle to pay taxes. So when it's time to pay taxes, it's going to be just you and Jojo. They are going to split that income. So if Jojo gets 50 grand, they are going to split that, whatever income she makes from that business, after you guys split, they're going to tax you on that. And they're going to tax you on your social. And there's also going to be self-employment tax liability attached to that income. Do you understand? So they're not going to say because you have Aurora Natural Hair Care Salon, Aurora Natural Hair Care Salon is the person responsible, because no, that tax liability falls under you guys' social. They are not using the EIN. The EIN that was given to you, really, it's almost like sitting on the shelf when it comes to partnership and solopreneur. All right, we move on. So now, corporation, big business. They have shareholders, they have stakeholders, they get dividends. That is salary. That's going to be required to pay salary. And then also you get dividends. That business, however, is standing alone. It has its EIN, it's standing alone. The people that owns this, they're like, we are here, the business is here. So they are required to pay salary and required to have W-2s. You guys had a W-2 before, or W-9, right? W-2s. They will be required to pay salary. They'll be required to pay W-2. So that business stands alone. Whatever the business, because the business is the one paying them. While with you guys, all the money goes into this person's pocket. All this money goes into you guys' pocket. This one, the business has its own personal private business account. It's a requirement. For you to have a C-Corp, you would have to pay, you have to have payroll. You would have to have payroll. You would have to have a business separate from your checking account. You cannot commingle funds because you will get in trouble and you get penalized for it. to be a C corp. So liability doesn't fall on the owner. The liability, if there's any kind of liability, the business will have to take care of it because it's on the business. Any tax liability is also on the business. For a corporation, if you buy water during a party, you write all that off, right? If you make $3 million and it's extra left, $1 million is extra, that's why you see a lot of corporate giveaways, right? They give all of that away so they can write it off. Because if you don't write off the $1 million, you gotta find a way to use the money. Or you gotta find a way, if not, you get taxed on it. So to not pay taxes, there's more flexibility to write off taxes because the business is a standalone. Does that make sense? Okay. Same thing for S corporation. S corporation is baby born between LLC and C corp. They birth S corporation. So S corporation, same thing. You would have to get a W-2. You would have to have payroll. Everything I just explained. The business is a standalone. Your business can even pay you 401k. You don't do anything. When it's time to file taxes, you're going to file yourself, personal taxes, and then you're going to file your business taxes. Why do you file yourself is because you are going to be getting W-2 from this business. It's going to be paying you away from the business. All the money does not go into Kemi's account. That money goes into the Bonita's account and so on, including buying anything. It goes into, and then I also get my check from the business. Does that make sense?
So that's the one you do.
So I have S corporation, but I was not going to get into that because I'm going to tell you how I went from solopreneur to LLC to S corporation.
So you can change them up.
You can change them up, definitely. But I believe, and don't quote me, and I believe it's a threshold. There's certain threshold you have to get into where it does not make sense anymore. And I'll get into that conversation in a minute here.
Okay.
So LLC, limited liability. I hear when people say, well, I want an LLC because I don't have to have a liability. Well, the truth of it is, what happens is with an LLC, it's still technically, the way I understood it, you're still technically a solopreneur with the flexibility of, if anything happens in the business, it does not impact you. So business stands alone on the liability aspect. Somebody trip and fall, they don't sue you, they don't come for your house. Something happened within your business, it doesn't impact you, right? However, when it comes to tax liability, you are going to pay tax like a solopreneur and a partnership. You are not going to pay tax by itself, which is under the business. Does that make sense?
Wait, so you wouldn't pay your taxes with the business.
So let's go to me now.
Okay.
We're going to talk about me. When I first opened the business, I was a solopreneur, right? They will tax me as by itself. So I get one tax income. The tax will say Afolakemi, whatever my last name is, right? For media purposes, I don't give my last name. So they will say my first name, right? And then when they do my tax, they jumble my business, they jumble everything, all my personal, my other job into one. Then they'll tax me, and then I'll also get tax self-employment. Yes.
If you don't mind me asking, when they did all of that, how much did you have to pay?
I don't know. I've paid 18 grand in taxes before.
Oh.
At some point, I paid 15 grand on my business taxes, 18,000 on my personal. That's how much I've paid in taxes before. Not serious business. Serious business. All right.
Even after they took off taxes?
That's taxes. And then you pay your self-employment penalty. And that self-employment penalty sometimes is no joke. I think if you check your phone, sometimes I think it's 17 to 20 something percent. Self-employment taxes. Now, after a while, I cannot remember how I got LLC. Somebody told me about LLC, and I signed up to be an LLC. But my tax did not make any difference because I was carrying all the liabilities here. Meaning, with them taxing me, but if somebody falls and trip and break their head, I could lose everything because it's just under me. So I went into LLC because I almost think I took a class, and then I went and signed up for LLC just so I can alleviate that liability aspect, but my tax did not change. So I remember one particular year I made close to 200 and something, actually probably over 200 and something $1,000. And my tax person was like, hey, this is the time we gotta change your filing status because it's stupid. But in order for you, the caveat and the game here is you cannot become S corporation without you having payroll. That's where the IRS gets you. You have to have payroll, meaning that you turn yourself into an employee of your own business. So at that point, when I switched, before I was an LLC, there was really would not be a big deal of commingling, meaning that I could put all this money in one place. I could spend for business, I could spend for personal, it wouldn't matter. But as soon as I switched to S corporation, I had to have a separate business account from my personal account. I have to do things separately. I cannot say I ran out of gas and I didn't bring my card. No, I cannot take money from the business. The only way I can get any money, single money from my business is payroll. So I have to pay myself like I pay anybody in the salon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it like can you choose the payroll like when you get the money like
You have to get a payroll company. So my payroll company, I go through what's it called? Gesto. So I do Gesto, I pay them, they cut me a check every month, I get paid once a month, and you almost have to figure out what your taxes are, like payroll, they do that, and then you have to pay quarterly taxes, which is 941s, and she mentioned something like that when you're S corporation, because the IRS needs to see how much money is coming in, what's going out. It's a lot of monitoring, and you can't commingle. You can't say, again, if you buy corporate lunch, what is all this ticketing people always looking for in the area?
And so you
So-
do all this by yourself, kind of.
You do it by yourself, yes. I've been in business too long, so it's not, at first it was very challenging. And understand, I have a bookkeeper, I have a tax accountant, I have a payroll people, and I have a lawyer. And I pay monthly. You don't even want to know how much I pay for my bookkeeper. I pay my tax person once a year. Thank you, Jesus, but it's still a lot. You gotta pay somebody, and then the bookkeeper, it's kind of still a lot. My Gesto, you pay every month. It's gonna be a lot. So there's pricing running a business. But the beautiful part is at the end of the year, chances that you pay no taxes or to nothing because you're writing off all these people you're paying off. You're writing professional fees off. You're writing, if I cut a check to the business, I get paid so low. So when I do taxes, they do my personal taxes because again, don't forget, I work here, right? I work here. I don't own it anymore. The business stands alone. Bonita stands alone. Natural Hair Care stands alone. I don't own any of them. No, I'm just an employee like everybody.
So why did you switch from LLC to?
Because at some point you're making. So don't forget, when I made over 200 grand,
Because you're making more.
I'll pay the tax liability if I was an LLC. 18,000 plus 15,000. Let's do the math. No, just do mental math. It's very easy. 8 plus 5. 13. 33 grand. I was gonna pay over making $200,000. But as soon as I switched, that went away.
It went down.
It went away. It just goes away.
So
Because at that point, you write so much off. Because here's what's going to happen. With me being an S corporation, when you're solo pro and your partnership and don't forget, these are tied to your social, right? You can have a 401k account. You're not an employee, you own it. With this, I created a 401k account. You could create a solo, you could create a 401k IRA. You can create a Roth IRA, a Roth account. You can create another one, is it 501 something account, and that you can put close to, don't quote me on these numbers, I think with that one you can even put up to $30-something thousand away for yourself. And these are all tax write-off. It's just a game in this country. You just the smart ones. I mean, they make room for that. They make room for all this. It's just a bigger bite, a bigger chew. So you get to put a lot away. So I do that. I mean, I have a 401k that I put money in every. I don't care what comes in through the door. I put money away for myself. You know. I mean, if I tell you how much I have in 401k from doing this business, you'll be like, what? I don't work for a person. Now, I can, if I have a very big year, then all the leftover money, I just put it into 401k and I'll max out my 401k.
Yeah, that's
If
what
there's
I'm
leftover, then I gotta find a way to max it out. Do I want to, buy something? Do I want to take a depreciation? So there's so many ways you can navigate how you write off when you are in this tax bracket.
Okay, so they match how much you put there, like the percentage. Let's say you
They,
put
they
5%.
don't match. Nobody match. You're the owner. Who is gonna match you?
Because regular 401k, if you
The
put
company-
5%, the company will put.
Yeah, but you're the company. So am I gonna match myself? I just can max out. Yes, you're right. So for instance, if I'm putting $5,000 as a company, as a person, right? I can take $5,000 from my business and match that.
Okay.
You see what I mean? But I have a max. You have a max you can go up to. So if I give myself 30,000, I think that you can match, maybe another 30,000, right? Which brings you to 60 grand. But don't quote me on these numbers. You gotta go find a tax person to advise you. So in the grand scheme of things, you gotta ask yourself, what are the advantages and disadvantages of because it's a tier. It's a tier structure. I told you what it takes for me to stay at S Corporation. It takes a lot. Sometimes there was a time where I was paying myself $1,900. There was a time where I was paying myself $3,200. There was a time I like right now I've been paying myself only $500 a month. Would you survive on $500 a month? No. But that's what the nature of the business is. Yes.
Do you think it would have been different if you would have started off with LLC first? Instead of
You know what? I'm so grateful for my journey. I don't know if I would be able to teach this class the way I'm teaching it if I didn't go through all the steps. Because now I'm going here.
Oh, you're finna change there?
Well, because I won't have a choice. Once I move up with everything that I'm working on and doing, I'm gonna have to change. The bracket is gonna change. Because once you make a certain threshold, your bracket changes.
Wow.
So it's just by pay structure, by your bracket, There's a bracket you gotta be in, and there's a bracket, so if you're making $1 million here, even if your tax person process your tax as a solo pro, that gotta be the worst tax person on earth. They'll advise you like, no, because your tax liability is going to be a lot. So it didn't make any sense at my point. That was like just shyly over $200,000. Okay. So you guys during business week is going to ask you, how do you want to incorporate? So knowing this information is very crucial. I remember before I even opened a school or starting to teach this class, when I was going to switch, I did a little bit of research. And ever since I've switched, I think that's the best thing I ever did for myself, because I was able to it's so easy when they say I need your business taxes. Because like right now, we're looking at trying to purchase a building for the business. They're not asking me for my personal taxes. No. Say, where's your business taxes? Or can I have I have somebody that just asked me 24 months of my business bank statement.
So does that help you if you was trying to buy a house too? Can you
Yes.
use?
Well, it would help you either way. If you're trying to buy a house and you own a business, I've bought 3 homes, so I don't know. I don't know what they ask. I forget. They ask you stuff. You just bring whatever you got.
Yeah. Because she said something.
But let me tell you one thing. My last house. This is very good to know. Like with my last house, when you own a business and when you file like this, it's so. Because I remember I was like, so how much do I need to make and the person was like, in order for you to qualify for this house, you will need you need to show 108,000. And I call my tax person, I want to buy a house, and I need to show 100, and they'll just adjust your taxes.
Escort.
Well, as long as you make close to that,
Right.
they will adjust your taxes, meaning that maybe you have to pay more, you have to file more depreciation, or you have to file more losses, or you have to carry more money over to this year, so next year you can file a lot more losses. You know, they can, play more with numbers for you to make things work out. And because you run a business and people know that you want to be able to maximize your tax relief as much as you can, as soon as people know that, they tend to work differently with you. Like the conversation I'm having right now, that I'm trying to buy a building, as a matter of fact, nobody's asking me, do you have money? No. How long have you been in business? How long have your business survived? They're asking for, can you show numbers? Can you show track record that you've always made sale for the last 18 years?
One more question. In our position right now, which one would you recommend us to do?
Honestly, I would say in your position, I say go and sit with a tax person.
Okay.
That's what my advice is, because I can't say go directly to ESCOP, because I didn't just go directly to ESCOP. I did solopreneur. No, stay away from here. Anyways, whatever you do, stay away from here.
Okay.
It's going to seem realistic. Stay away from here. The earlier the better you fall here and start training yourself. And if you can, and another thing I would advise you, do some research. How much do your business have to make to have S corporation? And because don't forget, with S corporation, how many people did I say I do pay?
You say yourself. Wait.
But how many people do? In order for me to maintain my S corporation, how many people gets paid from me? 15 people? You try to, Helen, take it easy. This is not right. If it's 15, I'm done. I'm done for. All right. People that get money from me every month. Payroll.
3.
Bookkeeper.
Oh.
Somebody got to maintain your books. So either QuickBooks is doing it or you're doing it. Right? Because somebody got to file your 941s quarterly. So get payroll is the person that does my payroll, and they do my 941s. My bookkeeper organizes my books for me, so at the end of the year I can get it to my tax accountant. And then my lawyer, which I hate with my heart, because Jesus. Yes. Yeah, because you gotta pay them. Now that's not somebody I want to see. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear. I don't want to call. The bookkeeper, I don't mind. Okay, to her, I count her as a needed thing. So one client will take care of my bookkeeper. My payroll, another client will take care of payroll. As a matter of fact, no, $50-something is what I pay Gusto. So it doesn't matter, once a month. But my bookkeeper, I pay $180-something now. It's not cheap, because that's $2,000 and some you got to find for that person, just to maintain my S corporation. My tax accountant, for my taxes, I pay close to $2,000 and more to file taxes, because I have to file personal, I have to file 2 businesses. So listen to me. If you haven't even started, how can you pay these people?
Exactly.
So, gotta be smart. Now, you pay liabilities, yes, but also you have to get smart about writing every single thing off. You cannot run a business without having discipline. It just don't work. You can't wake up and say, I want to have a business and not have discipline. It is very, very hard. Business is not like how they do business back home. You sell, you fold your clothes, you put your money in there, you tie down your boobs and walk away freely. It doesn't work like that. In this country, you cannot tie down money to your waist. Every single penny, as long as you have an EIN, as long as that business stays operating, the nice thing is the IRS will give you about 3 years away. They won't bug you. 3 to 5 years, they are going to step away and not bug you to build that business, because between 3 to 5 years, most business go away. Most business don't even survive. No, 3 to 5 years is what it takes. You know, you see something popping hot, before you know it, it goes away. The only reason, I'll be very honest with you, the only reason my business has stayed open is I keep evolving. I keep changing what I'm doing. It's like every 5 years I'm doing something completely different. And I don't think I would ever stop evolving, because I don't know, maybe it's God, you know, whatever I'm doing, I realize that it's enough for me to continue. I gotta do something. It's not a stop. You know, you do education, and then before you know it, you have to, in order for the education to make sense, okay, I can't teach students. I gotta teach teachers now, because I have to set the standard for what I'm trying to do. And then you realize, oh, you're setting the standard for the teachers. Technically, you're now setting the standards for the stage. And then it just opens. So if you happen to find yourself in a type of business like mine, where the business is really the one opening the layers, it's not you. You just have to be ready to walk through those layers. And it's complex. So because it's complex, and because over the years, I've been frugal, you know, I've always been very smart with the money. I've always told myself what's important. My rent is important. This people has to be paid, right? So, you know, if somebody comes and say, hey, there's a party somewhere, I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't make it. I can't afford it. You know? I don't care to buy used stuff. I'm sorry, I don't like used stuff. I'm not one of those. So that's probably one of my worst things. If I buy used stuff, I'll buy it new. And I'll probably give my used stuff away. But some people will buy used stuff. So maybe one day if I get reborn, I just never been one. So I have where I'm very smart with money, and I have my non-negotiables. You know, I broke a iPad the last time. Somebody would look online. I just went to Best Buy and bought me another $1,000, and I just continue business the next day. Because maybe in my head, it's needed. So before the end of the week, we made the $1,000 back. So it's a wash. And I also think, because I've been trained, that I can write off a lot of stuff, so I don't look at things, you know, when people see, oh, I just bought those. Everything I walk in with, oh, you spent money. I really didn't spend anything, really, because at the end of the year, I'm going to write every single bit of it, including my left hand that I used to pay for it, off. But some people don't think like that. You know, if I buy used stuff, is that person really going to give me a real receipt? You know, they probably won't. So now I just created an expense I really can't write off. But don't quote me.
When you write it all, are you spending, is it gonna match how much you spend like throughout that year?
So again, you have to be smart. You don't want to keep creating expense. There's what they call fixed expense, and there's what they call flexible expense. Fixed expense are your non-negotiable. I have to pay rent here. I just told you, they are fixed expense. I have to pay the rent. I have to pay utility. I have to pay, payroll taxes. I have to make sure that my back bar has shampoos, conditioner. I have to make sure the product is running out. I replenish product, right?
Okay.
Those are fixed. Huh?
Can you use those as write-offs,
Every single bit.
Oh, so it adds up.
And the best part of it, because I have a bookkeeper. See, with you, if you don't have a bookkeeper, you have to go write it down somewhere, or you use QuickBooks. So as soon as you get your receipt, you just take a picture and QuickBooks tracks it for you. At the end of the year, you get a DocuSign that shows all your QuickBooks. Yes, QuickBooks is a very good one. I think it's about $10. $10 or 50. I don't know how much they charge now. But see, for me, I have a bookkeeper. So when I go and do this at the store and spend money, it's showing up on my account. They can she does the math. I don't gotta think. Yes, so I don't gotta think. And I listen, I will keep paying that till I die, because I don't wanna think. I don't wanna think of money. I don't wanna think of numbers. The only money I wanna do is pay people and keep it pushing. Because why? I tried doing it myself and I got in trouble. The IRS sent me a $500 and some bill. I think they sent me 3 times because I got into trouble for penalties. That's what I get for being cheap. So I paid $500 and some dollars one quarter, another $500 and something dollars, I paid $1,000 and something dollars. So it was close to $2,000 I paid in penalties. That is annoying. That's $2,000 and some dollars I don't have to pay the IRS. All in the name of I didn't file my 941s. All in the name of I decided to be an S corporation. So if you decide to be an S corporation, you better get ready to file that 941s quarterly. If you don't file them, you will get penalized. And that's $500 and some dollars. Yeah, that mail is very, very, very annoying.
Plus tax still?
Don't forget, that has nothing, that's just penalties. Like driving too fast and they give you a ticket. Don't they annoy you? Or you pack nicely and somebody towed your car and now you gotta pay $400. Don't those expenses annoy you? It does. So that's the same thing. That's what happened when you don't follow the rules. So you have to be very mindful and ask yourself, when am I ready? So maybe you might want to do an LLC first. Because an LLC is still the same thing, right? But it gives you some room to cover any kind of liability. And then as you walk the process, as you get smart, one way of getting smart is, do I want to learn how to do my own books? Again, when you buy stuff, take a picture, make sure that there's no one single receipt, right? You said, okay, Anna, meet up with me. We're gonna have a business conversation. You buy Anna a $10 meal. That's a business conversation. That's a business write-off. All right? You buy, you have, corporate giving at the end of the year. I'm not going to be here this year, but usually at the end of the year, we'll have a party. I'll give gift cards. All those are write-off. That's corporate giving.
Oh, we're not going to have one this year?
I'm not here. So they'll have it in their house. But usually if I'm here before Christmas.
You close down the shop?
No. The shop will be open. I'm just not here. But usually, just so we can celebrate together, we'll share a gift, and then we'll have a meal. We'll eat before we go and celebrate with our family. But all of that buying and doing, I write it off. Before I moved here, when I was at my old place, we had a big backyard. I'll have July. We would have barbecue for clients. I'll buy cake. We'll have barbecue. We'll buy drinks, and we'll just have clients stop by. Those are all write-offs. From every single chicken wings is all write-off. Yeah. So you gotta decide what direction you want to go with your business. But I would say you want to stay away from this. And then if you decide that you want to have a partner, just understand that your tax liability is going to be you carrying them yourself. They are not carrying you. The business is not carrying you. You guys are the one carrying those liability. Advice to you is also think of, some people have the word called limited partner, right? They'll say, I want to be a limited partner, meaning that I'm not going to do too much of the work. And the limited partner could be, I will give you $10,000 and then you give me 30% in interest over the course of this year. Have it in mind, because you have a limited partner doesn't mean that you have to be able to discuss with them how taxes is going to work. They're not going to be getting 10% and not pay you taxes and not pay the taxes. The business is going to have some kind of taxes. So you want to hear my opinion, not an advice, opinion. I stay away from anything partnership. I always do. Why? Because it's very, very complicated when you get into a partnership situation with people, because there's so much more in depth and involved. And there's a different Form 20, because I've been on this hand of everyone. The only one I'm going there is corporation, because you got to be talking about big business. But I've been here, and you have to file a Form 24 something. I have it back there. Right, that you gotta file with the IRS, all in the name of somebody's partner.
So if I was in partnership with somebody, we can join the S corporation entity.
You guys can. Yes.
Okay.
That's smart. I'm just saying that If you're in partnership, you don't want your tax liability to be partnership.
Oh,
So if you decide to join business with somebody, just go under S corporation. For instance, with the hair business, if we have decided, I would never go into tax partnership, I'll just make it an S corporation.
So, in order to, what you done?
yeah, yeah, something.
In order to, like, own our business, like, as of right now, we would have to get a, what's it called? One of these?
Yes, definitely.
It's either called an entity or
Entity.
incorporation. So when you go to Secretary of State, they're going to say article of incorporation, or a lot of people that are in the business industry will say, what entity are you? Just know that they are all one in the same word, right? My article of incorporation, I'm S corp, and you, like for instance, I had to get a lawyer to do this for me for $300. I don't know what they charge now. Again, it's many years that I've done it. Can you do yourself? I think you can. You know, I really think you can do any of this corporation yourself, especially LLC, because people will try to charge you, but just go pay the $160 and sit as Secretary of State and have somebody help you, because they'll help you there. The reason why I wouldn't want to do this, because in that form, it would also tell you about shareholders, you know, because at this point, I can write shares to myself. If this business was, and I know it's gonna go higher, things are gonna be happening the way I foresee it in the grace of God. I can write myself dividends. I can write, you know, I can have cut shares, you know, just can say, hey, can I buy a share into this, you know, into this business? And I say, sure. How much, you know, and then I start cutting out a check, because now she's a shareholder. Yes, you do business like that. Yeah. But the way I want to deviate position in my business is different. Because overall, like I said, I would like to be a corporation where other salons just rent, they walk through the salon instead of going outside to go, because you're going to go outside and rent anyways. You know, why don't I create a hub where education can be there, you know, clients can be there, you know, it could just be a hair hub.
That's gonna be good.
It's going to be good for everybody. And everybody makes money inside the hub. And that's what they do at Shawa Salon. But the truth of it is, they are just space. There's no education that goes along. So a lot of times, stylists are doing hair in those spaces, and they forget that continuing education still needs to happen. And there's nowhere, except Aveda, where they have an education hub with their salon structure. There's no, even Empire don't. Empire don't have any salons. They bought Regency out. Regency used to have a salon in a school. They bought Regency out and they made it only education. So the only hub we have here in town here is Aveda. And to go to an Aveda school, it's high. So that's my goal, is to create a hub where continuing education still happens, and then people can also still have their own salons in my salon. Well, not really my salon. We just have a space that we all share and grow. So yeah, so pick what your values and pick where you want to go, but you have to make sure that whatever of this entity or whatever of this incorporation ways, whatever direction you want to go, be smart, be very strategic, have a goal for yourself. I didn't have a goal for myself. I've always been lucky to find people that directed me, but maybe tell yourself, in 3 years, this is where I'm going to be, right? And then in the next 3 years, this is where I want to go, right? So what that means is, in 36 months, I'm going to walk my butt off so I can be able to afford to pay these people, so I can shift my income structure, right? And it's your income that is going to define that. Because when they told me to shift to S corporation, my tax person knew I could afford it at this point. And what I did was, what I know now, I didn't know it then. Because I remember him telling me, you need payroll. I'm like, oh, Bruce, you do my payroll. And he was doing it, and then one day he came to my office and I'm done. Here, I'm not doing it. And then when he said I'm not going to do it anymore, I said, I'll just do it myself. It should be easy. Listen, after 4 penalty later, it was chaos. It was pure chaos. Like, he moved me to another company. that wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. And finally, I just went through Guesco. And Guesco is a public trading company. So I could have just done that from the day he spoke to me. But I wouldn't be able to teach this class so organically like I'm teaching you guys if I hadn't make all those pitfalls, if I hadn't fallen with my head crawling all over. Yeah? So I love teaching business because I've made so much mistakes, and for me to still be here, it's God, but most importantly is I don't count my mistake. I count where am I focus on where do I want to go. And things are gonna happen. And you wanna make sure when things happen to you, you're asking yourself, why did this happen? You're asking the whys all the time. Why? Did I put myself in the position? And if you did put yourself in the position, how can I get myself out of it? Right? How? Because you will make mistakes, but you can cut yourself off, or you can throw it all away because you made a mistake. And moreover, again, you learn, right? You learn, and now I'm in a much better position. Like last 3 months, I've been paying myself $500. Some people are like, well, I shouldn't even pay myself. I just told myself, in order for me to maintain my S corporation, I still have to pay myself. So I pay myself very little. So every month I still get paid. So I've maintained, but then we might enter into the new year and everything picks back up, and then I started this year paying myself $3,200 because we had a really good year, and then things went down a little bit, and then now it's almost Christmas, so things are gonna go back up, and then so you have to be able to adjust as long as you really truly want the business. You have to be able to adjust yourself. All right? Okay. So stop putting it into thinking, stop putting it into how you want to navigate, because you cannot run away from this entity. No. Jojo here, what's your business? Jojo?
Yeah. Oil, yeah.
So Jojo Natural Hair, Yaya Hair Braiding, NEG, you guys would not. You cannot be in this country. This is the passage to business in this country. The only other way this is going to change for you is if you decide to relocate. Meaning pack your bags and move out. You cannot escape it. You can't, you cannot escape it. It's the way of, it's the order of things.
Wait. So what if you relocate, but you still run you're still selling in this country?
Then you have to follow
You
this.
still have to
But
follow
one thing I'm also going to tell you that a lot of us do here is, what if you have subcontractors? For instance, she's a subcontractor in the salon here. So when she got a job, she filled out what they call a W-9. All right? When you apprentice here, you will fill out a W-9. Why? Okay, so how do you file taxes as a subcontractor? You would not be able to file as an LLC except you go sign your subcontractor as an LLC. Right? Because technically you're working as a sub for that business. You're not employed by my business. So your entity to file taxes is on you. So if you don't go file yourself as an LLC, right? Does that make sense? Or am I confusing anybody?
She's a subcontractor?
So anybody that you are a subcontractor.
So when we apprenticeship, we need to have ourselves filed.
You need to figure out how you're gonna file taxes. You're gonna be making money. I'm gonna give it to you every week, and you're gonna be smiling. But at the end of the day, you gotta pay those taxes because I'm gonna report that I paid you. Yeah. But then you gotta pick which entity. If you don't, okay. So by default, if you don't do anything, by default, this is your entity. Does that make sense? If you go to Secretary of State to go get your name, by default, you are here. They'll give you an EIN, right? But not until you structure that EIN, you're always going to be a solopreneur. Every single person that has a business that is not defined is a solopreneur. Make sense? Until you go and say, okay, I'm going to go and put Yaya Natural Hair Salon as an LLC. So even as you work here, right? So remember when I told you I want to create a hub? Where is
What do you remember the class you took for?
me?
Yeah, you said you took a class before you got your LLC.
I can't remember. Believe me, I've taken a class and I'm completed. I'm like, Jesus, am I supposed to be here? I don't know. It's just somebody tell me a class and I'll just take it. Okay, so let's look here. So remember when I told you I want to have a hub, right? So the hub is going to be Natural Hair Care Village. All right, Natural Hair Care Village. All right, in there, Bonitas is here, school is here, and then anybody else that wants to join the hub, they come in, they join the hub. My business is standing alone. I am not responsible for your business. Because I'm just giving you a hub. That's what subcontracting is. You walk in, I give you a job, you do the job. Oh, Jesus, this call is so important. What's her name again? Sorry. Hey, Jill. I am fine, and don't be mad at me. Do you have 3 o'clock to talk? Because I'm in class. Thank you. Yeah, I'll call you at 3 o'clock because I'm filling out the form, the commercial form for the real estate thing. And I got stuck because it was asking me for a building, and I know we haven't found a building yet. So I'll call you at 3. Oh, okay, thank you. Her. Talk to you later, thank you. Okay, so the same thing is happening here. Okay, everybody is responsible for their taxes. Same thing. Like I told you, Charlotte Salon. Do you think Charlotte Salon is the person paying your taxes? No. Your business comes in. Oh, beautiful salon suit. It has a sink, and then you put a beautiful red ribbon. You're excited to cut the ribbon. Charlotte Salon is just waiting to get paid for their rent. At the end of the day, they'll write you total amount you paid for your rent. They'll give it to you. You add it to your taxes. Same thing with apartments. You walk in, they give you the key to your room. At the end of the year, they give you your tax, your rent or whatever, right? But it's your responsibility to file those taxes. Now, if you get a job at a salon as an employee,
They is in charge of your taxes.
then they are in charge of your taxes. So as an employee, but what does that mean? Same thing. You get paid. Your paycheck, hourly pay, where you know if you have a job, any of you have a job in here? Okay? You do? Do you get paid every week or whatever? They write you a check. So that's salary. Those ones are responsible for your taxes. In this industry, a lot of time in this industry, most of the salon, you're going to find them as commission-based. They're going to be commission-based. So you have to design how you want your business to be. You want to either be an LLC or by default, you're just a solo pro. So keep your receipt, because at the end of the day, when you're filing, it sounds scary. It sounds like, oh God, how am I going to do this? I don't want to pay the IRS. The only way you're going to get caught up is if you're not prepared or planning or thinking ahead. That's, you guys chose you want to do hair. A lot of the salon in Minnesota don't have employees. They either have a boot rental or they have commission base. Very few white salons you're going to get that will hire you hourly. You know, very few. And it might be like, you know, a lot of people that get students in, they tend to do hourly, but most people they just offer you where you rent chairs. And people get very strategic on how they rent the chair. By the end of the day, those tax liability, they fall on you. So anybody, as soon as you see somebody say, hey, you need to fill out a W-9, just know that they are not responsible for your taxes. And in this industry, they would not. A lot of salons are not. When I walked on New Reflections, it was $9 an hour, and then something about commission, something weird. But I didn't care for the pay. I just came there for the experience. I just wanted to brush in my skills so far, and I didn't last long there, you know. So you gotta be you have to know what you're doing because you don't wanna get yourself in trouble and then at the end of the year, you're thinking somebody's gonna file your taxes and then you realize you hold a lot in taxes because they are reporting, they are going to report any single way I pay you, I'm reporting it. And see, I don't even pay cash, I'm not gonna give you cash, I'm just gonna write direct deposit all the money into your bank account.
Excuse me.
And at the end of the year, I'll give you a 1099. And that 1099 is gonna say, well, this person made this much. You're gonna have to figure out taxes on it. So if you don't plan well, you gotta keep your receipts, you gotta keep every single thing that you bought for your business. You know, even if it's a paper and pencil to write ideas, keep those receipts. You know, like you take transportation, keep all your bus receipts. Those are all tax write-off. You know, you buy a new outfit for work, keep those receipts. You know, because there's so much they allow for you to write off on those. But don't quote me, I'm not a tax person. All right, any questions? Because I think I spent a lot explaining this.
Can you write off the tuition that you pay for the
Absolutely.
school?
Yes, I'm supposed to give you a 1098. See, I'm getting good. I should be a tax person. Some days I'm like, oh God, I know too much. If I die, oh Lord, I'll be dead for oh my God, I know too much. But anyways, yes, I'm required to give you a T1098. And you file that every year. So, you know, come January, they are due. Yes. So you can write every single thing off, including you. Everybody gets a 1098 as long as you pay, and I'll give those 1098s to you. For instance, whatever you buy, like with hair, whatever, keep your receipts. Those are all
When
write-offs.
did that go to PUC though?
It goes to you. It's your name. It's a grant that was given to you that goes towards your name. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have PUC's name in my system. I have your name. So those forms comes to you.
And then what do I do with that?
File your taxes. It's an education credit.
But now that I'm not using card for the transportation again, I use money now to.
Tell them to give you your receipt.
Isn't that with just the bus?
I should tell the bus driver to give me receipt.
No.
I don't go in.
Like the ticket, you
Yeah,
know where it has
Those
the time?
tickets that we throw
That's your
away.
receipt. That will be
Okay.
considered a receipt.
Yeah, but again, it's very tricky.
Yeah.
That's why I told you the smartest thing to do is if you decide. Let me give you one advice. Again, it's an advice. It's not definitive.
Mhm.
I don't want anybody quoting me. My teacher said this is it. I am not law. Once you're thinking apprenticeship, working, getting out of school, either you want to work for somebody or commission based. If it's not, except if you're looking for a job that is going to hire you doing hair hourly, then you don't have to worry about that. Start this moment because you have another 2-3 months to be down here. Start asking yourself, how am I going to track my income and expense? And if you know, maybe ask ChatGPT, maybe ask Google. Once you figure that out, as soon as you're probably 1-2 weeks away from school, sign up for that software.
How am I gonna track my income and
How are you going to track your income and expenses when I get into like when you start this business? So a good one would be Ayana does hair at home, right? Right now, when you do hair at home, how do they pay you?
cash or cash out?
All right. So just keep in mind, if you make over $600 on any of those Cash App, Venmo platform, you will get a 1099. So maybe they should still pay you cash till you're ready.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Because once you make over $600, they will report that for taxes. And everybody knows this, right? This is just a known fact, right? Anything over 600, you have to pay taxes on. Okay, so now you guys know anything over 600. So if I hire somebody and I spend over $600, I need to give them a W-9 because I have to report that, I spent that money. So keep be very careful when you're doing the Cash App, the Venmo. Once it's over $600, you gotta explain how, how that income is about. So that being said, is once you get out of school, you want to figure out how you're going to track your expense. That being said, another way you can do that is you can have Venmo and say, okay, I'm going to use Venmo, and I'm giving just an example, or I'm going to use Cash App. And if I'm going to spend any money for my business, it's going to go through Cash App. Anybody that I need to pay, anybody that I need to do anything with, is going to be Cash App or Venmo. Why? Because you could go back in there and keep track of all that expense. You want a software that keep track of what's coming in and what's going out. So if you're somebody that one day is Cash App, another day is Venmo, which used to be me, right? Another day is my bank account, another day is cash, and then my bookkeeper is sitting here like, okay, so why do we have 5 places of using us and we're using 5 places to make payments? And I'm like, oh, well, I was at the gas station and then I didn't leave, I left my, no, find one place that's going to do that for you. And if you decide, I don't want to have one place, then you get yourself a QuickBook software, which is if you spend cash, you go to the store, you spend cash to buy your shampoos. As soon as they give you that receipt, you just take a picture, click, right? Let me even tell you, want to hear what's better and what's sweet? ChatGPT can do that for you too. You say, hey, you create what they call an expense folder. Anytime you spend money, you take a picture and you put that gets stored in your expense folder. The reason why you don't want to use ChatGPT, all right, let me tell you why, is because it is not a software that tracks your income, and you cannot link ChatGPT to your QuickBooks, to your bank account. However, you can link QuickBooks to your bank account. If you get QuickBooks, and I think, like I said, it's like $10 or $15, it would link it to your bank account. So every time money goes out, money comes in, it tracks it for you, and including also tracking your receipt. So that might be a good software to start thinking about. And it helps you, see, once you learn, I probably also think that I became really good at what I've done because I've learned I went from here, I learned something here, and I learned hard way, all these things I learned in the most hard ways, right? I learned them, I didn't just learn them because somebody told me. I'm telling you, you didn't go through the experience, I went through the experience. So I can only tell you that this is it, it's facts. So, like the day Anna got a job here, if Anna knew what she said, oh, I'll just open up QuickBooks. Because a lot of times, if you're not planning or thinking well, you're going to run yourself into a problem. Because taxes, I see Dora every time. She goes to those H&R blocks to file taxes.
I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah, she goes to H&R. You can go to H&R, but then half the time, she doesn't keep all of our receipts because she's old, so she shuffles through paper.
Because she's old.
I sometimes wonder. She's like, can you help me? No, I don't want to calculate anything for you. I don't have time for that. But if you have a software that you're paying $15 from, and you're working a job where you make money, it's a wash. It's really, and then you write off the software. You write it off. Yes, you write every single thing off. It's kind of like having a bookkeeper without paying what I pay. And I've many times my bookkeeper have told me, oh, you know what, you don't need me. You should just get, I know myself. I have no time in the world to keep track of receipts. I don't even want paper. So I'm one of those people that don't collect receipt. I'll just go. And then I didn't take the receipt. But I don't have her to take a receipt because I always use my card and she tracks it for me. But if I don't have her, then I have to do the job. I have to track everything. So please be smart about it because you're going to need some kind of way to track regardless. So when you get home, I advise you open QuickBooks if you want to. I can't force you to do that, but it'll be smart. And if you decide you want to apprentice here, if you decide that's something that, and you're going to need that regardless of where you go. The only time you won't need that is if you become somebody's employee. Then you really don't, because at the end of the year, what do your job gives you? A W-2. Yeah. Because who did all the tracking for you? They did. But you are going into a business where you gotta track everything for yourself. Because you wanna be a business owner. You wanna own all your stuff. This hair looks pretty amazing on you, by the way.
I know.
I
It's
love the
cheap.
color.
I can believe it too. It's cheap too.
It's really pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah.
If you're paying your employees in cash, let's say if somebody's working for me, I'm paying them in cash.
I don't ever pay in cash. Bad deal.
Okay.
Why? If you pay somebody in cash and you happen to have a dishonest person, they'll look at you dead in the eyes and say, "I never got a payment from you."
Oh, okay.
You know, yes, I came here one time to help you as a family member. I don't know you. I paid somebody one time, and I asked them, "Can you give me a W-2?" And guess what? I paid them cash. They came here and put they put all this together, and I paid them close to $2,000 and something. They told me, "Sorry, I don't have a W-2. You never discussed that with me." They're African, like they're in person. It's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, you never had a conversation that you're gonna W-9 or report the income." Till today, I don't have a W-9 from them. But they were dumb enough to respond to my email. That was my W-9 proof. I just sent that to my bookkeeper. So when the IRS come, they responded back to me. They could have just not respond if they didn't want to give me a W-9.
But what does he have to lose? Why is he?
Huh?
What does he have to lose? Why?
Well, because that income, I have to get the credit for it.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have anything to lose. Why he couldn't just sign it? Oh.
Because he's not honest.
Oh.
Because he thought by responding to me and not giving me a W-9, I couldn't count the income. But he's stupid, he responded. That's the receipt. And he responded by telling me, "Well, sorry, you didn't tell me this was are you gonna report the income to the IRS? I don't have any W-9. No. I said, "Okay, thank you. You've acknowledged you did the job, you acknowledged you got the payment. So thank you. I just thank you and left it alone." But the truth of it is, if you're spending over $500 in your business, don't forget, when you are subcontracting for somebody, or you are in any of those shoulder salons, you are on your own. You are on your own. The person that owns the establishment does not owe you anything. Only thing they owe you is peace of mind. You have to plan for yourself. So when you're writing your checks, when you're writing checks for, if it's boot rental, or like for instance here, she pays 40% back to the salon. So when she gets her 1099, she gets what she made, right? That 40%, if she's not tracking it and give me a 1099, because that's a write-up, she can write off. So, the same thing, if you're an apprentice, you have to pay 40%. So that 40%, you have to track it, because at the end of the year, you have to give me a W-9, which I'm not dishonest. So anyways, for me, I always track everything. So, it's kind of a wash, but she has to know how much she paid me. If she comes and say, "How much do you pay? Did I pay you for the year?" I can't say I can't give it to her. I have to give her all that information. But do you know how many people that don't even know that? They just take that, whatever they made, they'll take it, but what about all the money you paid? Those are technically fees, your time you're paying to use the space.
Oh, so she has to keep record and you're keeping record too?
Yeah, I'm keeping records. She has to keep records too. But the truth of it is, if I give her a 1099, it's both party has to have a W-9. So for instance, she has to give me a W-9, I have to give her a W-9. Because
How do you give that to each other? How do you give that to each other?
just by getting a W-9, you say fill it out. So at the end of the year, for instance, if I say say I gave you a 1099 that says I made 60,000, right? 60K. You're going to say, okay, you have to know already that you pay 40%, right? Of that, no, 60K is what you took home.
Oh.
So you're going to know that, oh, okay, I made 100K. So 40,000 was paid to the salon.
Mhm.
So that you need a W-9 for. You get to file all of this free. So, but the truth of it is, you file, I'm already gonna file it anyway because I have to report all the income. But you, if you don't know to file it on your taxes, then, you know, does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right. Phone is blowing up today.
And so, how will she keep track of? How will she keep track of that? Just by having like it connected, like what is it called? Book.
And how will she know what?
How much? Yeah, how to keep track of that?
Of what?
Of her, the 40% from her.
It's very easy. So in a month, like for instance, what we do here, if you do decide to apprentice here, I'm gonna have a meeting with you every month.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is how much you made, and this is how much you pay the salon. But it's not hard. You just have to say how much did I make in a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just did that with her on Saturday, and then you're like, okay, you know, you can use ChatGPT, you can do math and say, okay, out of 100%, I made 200, and what is 40% of that? And then it'll give you the number. And then you know, okay, then you have a book that you start writing, okay, I paid this total amount in the month of October, you know, 1,000 and something dollars in expense. And then that, and all of that, right, you make sure that you give me a W-9. Once I sign a W-9, you don't need to put the income on a W-9, and you're going to have access to a W-9 during business week, so you get to see what it looks like. It's not hard, right? You've asked my fact. It's when you do apprentice, you get to fill out a W-9. So then at the end of all that number, you just take it to your tax person with all your receipts and everything. But because you already gave me a W-9, so say for instance, it's $10,000, and you report $13,000. You see that, and I report on your behalf that you gave me $10,000. You see that that's going to conflict?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's very important to make sure that you have those numbers correctly. So it's not conflicting. So you're not going to get fined, because what if the IRS say, bring a letter from your job that truly says that's the percentage you write off. And then I turn around and give you a letter for $10,000 while you already filing your taxes 13. Then that's where the trouble and the penalty starts. So it's not complicated. Just apply honesty, then you'll be fine. And there's always a saying, pay unto Caesar what? There you go. Good.
Wait, say it again. I've never heard of that.
Pay unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
It's in the Bible too.
It's in the Bible, meaning that don't be greedy. Pay what's due to the tax man. Right? I always have it in my head. If I don't pay taxes, how would they run the light? How would they do the road? How would the schools run? I gotta pay my part. You know, same people. We go to church and then we're ready to pay tithe and offering, but then you don't pay taxes. Excuse me? Yo, that's even greater of a sin than it is. You know, but there's some people that believe they don't pay taxes.
Don't we have other countries that don't pay taxes and they're doing good?
Plenty countries don't. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty countries, but again, if you find yourself in those countries, you are here. And the law here is, you know, there's what tax money do, and I just feel like, you know, if you allow me to open my doors every day and nobody's knocking down, all you ask me to do is pay my share to keep opening my doors, I'm ready to pay my share. But then I really don't pay taxes, to be honest, because I write off a lot. I spend a lot. I put a lot. You know, for my chance of changing from here to here, I've really changed what I can afford for my business, what I can provide, because I'm able to have money away. I might not have money in paper, but I've been able to, you know, it's kind of like, say for instance, you have 100 grand left over. You have to find something to do with it. That's, you buy a property, you buy something that also can be tax write-off. That's the benefit. So they are not saying, it's when you keep the money, you gotta pay taxes on it. But as soon as you put it back into the business or you do something with it, then you've held it out for yourself. So I see very rich people, what do? They have more asset. They might not have any money in their bank, but then they will have a lot of assets. Make sense? All right, we could talk all day till we're blue in the face. Any questions? Because any more questions, any more, I don't think, I'm sure, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about your chair. Do you think it's fair to rent a chair from somebody for $150?
I think it is, if that's what they're charging.
Okay.
Yeah. And are you asking as an old stylist or new stylist?
No.
New? Then that's stupid. Where's your customer? Do you have the customer? Do you have enough customer to run a chair for a week? Do you know what $150 a week times 4 is what? In a month. And you're new. Listen to me. When you get out of school here, if you go rent a chair for $150, I will be upset with you. You are wasting your money. Number one, find somebody that is going to train you more as an apprentice. Find a commission-based place. Find a commission-based places. Lots of barbershop are always looking. And then if you're going to even rent a chair, find out if they can rent the chair to you for no more than $75. When I was renting chairs to students before I changed my model, because my model before was you apprentice, but it wasn't free. It was $75 a week. And even with $75, what I found out is a lot of students were struggling to pay that. Why?
They didn't have a line.
They didn't have the client, and I have to find a client for them. And then I'll tell them, go find client, and they don't want to. They just want to sit here. So I guess if you're paying $150, maybe that might motivate you, but you have to understand, even your skill level is not high. You want to get to where your skill level is really good, then you can pay the $600 because you shouldn't be paying it. The chair should be paying it. That's why when you're apprentice here, you go on commission base, 60-40 for 1 year. After 1 year is when I give you an opportunity. Do you want to rent? Because if you feel like you can make now, you've had enough client, you've built your customer, then maybe pay me 40% might be too much. When I look at what she paid last month for the commission base, $1,000 and whatever dollars was that, it's still kind of less than a rent for a chair. It's really less. And that's because she has no client. So every whatever $3,000 and some dollars she brought in from the salon, it's just the salon that gave it to her. But after a while, what if you build your client and you're bringing in, you paid me commission $5,000. You paid me commission $5,000. You took $8,000 home. Do you think at that point you're ready for a chair? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Except if you're dumb, then I'll be like, oh, then you're dumb because now you're giving away free money. But so you see, and even honestly, I've been in this industry too long. When people start paying more in commission than their chair, the owners of the salon will start offering you some kind of limited partnership because you're really working your chair. It's called I'm working. If somebody have me in their salon, it's a gold mine for them because I'm gonna walk my chair. I'm gonna walk my chair. My chair will bring so much money in for them, it's not even a joke. And you have to understand, when you walk a chair, that chair forever becomes, because now people know the salon, right? So that's why I always encourage, don't just rely on the salon that you're in to provide for you, because at the end of the day, if you mess up, they're just gonna do this. You're gonna go start elsewhere again, all over. You would not have anything. And I have a client, a stylist. My sister Dora is a good example of that. If she doesn't work a job in a week, she can't pay rent. She can't eat. It's no shame on it. It's just how she, over the years, have structured herself. There's only so much hair you can do at home. I'll be very honest with you. I'll do hair in my house. There's only so much of it you can do. And then when you decide to do hair at your house, if you don't set it up as a professional salon for yourself, meaning that there's an entry, people are not, sharing your private space, you're just going to get complacent. You're never going to pursue continuing education. You're just going to sit with what you know, and that will be it for you. And your income also is going to stay where you stay. You will never be able to change your income level except you change your level, right? So sometimes when people, look at my income, they look at me and they're like, oh, but you have to understand, I know a lot that I feel like I'm not even being paid for what I know. I know a lot, and I can do a lot in my industry. And I feel like I keep evolving because there's some stuff I want to even get better at that I told myself next year I'm going to just keep doing, right? Okay. Any more questions? That's no more? We can move on? All right. So I'm going to leave this on the board. You guys can take a picture if you want. If you take a picture of this, you can always put this in ChatGPT and say, I want you to break this down in a simple method for me for my retention, in whatever way you want to talk to your ChatGPT. But that's usually what I would say. I'll say, I want you to break this down for me and make it simple for my understanding. So that way you can understand a lot more. Or you could say, I want you to create a business folder for me, and then I want you to put something like this in there. You could, do you have a Yaya natural hair folder in your ChatGPT? No. You should create one. So that way anything you're doing for your business, it can just store in there. So during business week, it'll be easier for you to go into that folder and work off of that folder. Yeah. You guys will pay me more for this school. I'm telling you. They hold me. Just kidding. Just the people like, no, I don't hold you. All right, ladies. Let's move on to did we read? Did we read? Okay, so we didn't read solopreneur. We didn't read that yet, right? So now, oh God, we talked and we didn't read yet? Oh my God, this is a lot. Okay, so a solopreneur and a partnership are two different type of business structure that can be used to operate a salon. Below are the main differences between these two forms of salon management. Sole proprietorship. A sole proprietorship is a business that runs by a single person. As the owner of a business, you are solely responsible for all the aspects of the business, including financing, operation, and management. Partnership. A partnership is a business owned and operated by two or more people. Partnerships can be either general partnership or limited partnership. In a general partnership, all partners share equally in the business and are jointly responsible for its management and liability. In a limited partnership, there are one or more general partners who manage the business and assume full liability, and one or more limited partners who do not participate in the management of the business. In a solo proprietorship, the owner is personally liable for all debts and obligation of the business. In a partnership, all partners are jointly liable for the debt and obligation of the business. This means that each partner is individually responsible for the entire amount of the debt or obligations. In a solo proprietorship, the owner reports all profit and losses on what? His or her personal taxes. I want you to highlight that because that is going to be a test question. And the test in chapter 11 is going to be a little bit difficult, so please pay attention to all the details. In a partnership, the partner reports their share of profit and losses on their personal taxes. So you also want to highlight that. partnership are also required to file an annual tax return listing the partnership income, deduction, and credit. Salon owners must carefully weigh the advantage and disadvantage of each business structure before deciding on the best one. They should also seek the advice of a qualified accountant or attorney to ensure they fully understand their legal and tax obligation. Salon owners must carefully weigh the advantage and disadvantage of each business structure before deciding on the best one. They should also seek the advice of a qualified accountant or attorney to ensure they fully understand their legal and tax obligation. I think I read that twice. Oh yeah, sorry. Corporation and LLC. A corporation or a limited liability company are two different types of business structure that can be used to run a salon. Below are the main differences between the two forms for running a salon. A corporation. A corporation is a legal entity separate from its owner. This means that the company can enter into contract, owns property, and sue or be sued in its own name. You want to highlight that. In a corporation, the shareholders own the business and elect a board of directors to oversee management. While an LLC, a limited liability company, is a hybrid business structure that combines the liability protection of a corporation with the tax advantage of a partnership. Does that make sense now? So it combines liability protection of the corporation with the tax advantage of a partnership. In an LLC, the owners are referred to as members and have flexibility to decide how the business is managed. In a corporation, members are generally not personally liable for the debts and obligation of the business. However, if the corporation is not properly managed and fails to comply with certain legal formalities, shareholders can be held personally liable. While in an LLC, members are generally not personally liable for the debt and obligation of the company. Corporations are taxed separately from their owners, meaning that the corporation pays taxes on its profit and the shareholder pays taxes on the dividends they receive, meaning the money they receive. LLC has what they call a pass-through tax structure, meaning that the profit and losses of the business are passed through to the members' personal tax return. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Remember when I say, even though you have that LLC, it covers you from a liability standpoint, but it doesn't protect you from a tax standpoint. You are still responsible for those tax liability, including that self-employment taxes penalty. Salon owners should carefully weigh the pros and cons of each entity structure before choosing the best one. They should also seek the advice of a qualified accountant or attorney to ensure they fully understand their legal and tax obligation. Which brings us to the next chapter. Alright, so there's a video that we're going to watch real quick, I'm sorry. And then we're going to read I love this video, by the way. She's in New York.
My name is Sam Devine. I'm 27 years old and I am a salon owner. So because I'm an owner and I work behind the chair, and I'm the manager right now, I'm encompassing 3 positions. My responsibilities on any given day is going to be getting to the salon, making sure that everything is ready to run smoothly. So making sure that the schedule is correct, making sure, that we're fully staffed, taking care of any kind of absences, anything, that could possibly make the day run less smoothly, that I'm intercepting those things and preventing them or band-aiding the situation. Taking care of the bills, making sure that, payroll is run and payroll is processed, prepping for the taxes, handling any client situations that could possibly come up, making sure our front desk staff feels supported and they have everything they need to do their job really well, making sure that our staff has our stylists and colorists have everything that they need to do their job well. Working day in, day out on the social media campaigns that we're doing because, it's a very important part of our industry now. So, doing those social media posts whenever I have a break, working on my own clients for a good portion of the day. At the end of the day, 2 days a week we run classes for our assistant program. So either myself or one of my lead stylists is going to be leading those classes. So twice a month I'm teaching the education classes that we're having here a couple of days a week. And then, this continuous and endless cycle of marketing and bringing new business into the salon. So as a salon owner and behind the chair stylist, I make $55,000 a year, give or take, plus tips when I'm on the stylist side. In comparison to other people in my industry, I think it's going to vary based on location. If you compare it to like the Midwest or the South or cities that aren't as metropolitan as, say, New York, Los Angeles, or Dallas, for instance, it's probably on the median to high end, I would imagine, because salons, you look at the entire scope of the salon industry, it's quite vast. You have salons that are, in the Midwest that don't bring in a ton of revenue every year, to salons that are bringing in multi-million dollar businesses. So when you look at that, there's going to be that median, and I think in terms of my individual salary, I think we're going to fall in like the median to high for majority of the country, which is interesting. A manager is going to earn in Los Angeles anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 a year as a salon manager, depending on the level of the salon and how big it is. Somebody who's behind the chair at like the absolute highest, they do in-salon work, they work with their clients, they are on set, they do a lot of photo shoots, they're doing product, like they either have their own product line or they're working with a product line that they are the official spokesperson for. So when you take all that into account, you can, take, a great income of like $100,000 and turn that into a $1 million income very, very quickly.
All right, short and sweet. So,
Can you send that one to me too?
better start sending them all to you. Let me see. Let me send this real fast, and then, because I'll forget. Anybody else wants it?
The three things that you
Just-
want to ask
okay.
yourself with your business structure is, how are you going to be paid, how are you going to be taxed, and what you're liable for. So when you are a sole proprietor, the way you're paid is by taking withdrawals out of your bank account. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the benefits of an LLC. And I got this question asked to me because I think someone left in the comments on a previous episode just asking like, hey, I'm a barber and I hear a lot about the benefits of, or I hear a lot of people saying that I should be an LLC. Currently he is a sole proprietor and he's just wondering, what are the benefits of having this LLC? And I feel like people think
The
about
three things that
structures really in two different phases of their business. When they
My name is Sam Devine. I'm 27 years old and I am a salon owner. So because I'm
The earlier the better you start, the better you're gonna start counting. Imagine if, how old are you?
19.
It's gonna be, you are so smart. I didn't start till I was 24. The earlier the better you start, you can make all your mistakes, so when you get to like my age, I don't know what life has for you, but it's big. But again, it takes you just hanging in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, look at your bad days as I'm learning, and look at your good days as I'm grateful. Some days I ask myself, why am I doing this? You know, because I realize it's like I've built my business for people. But then, you know, when I look at it, I said, well, I've built it for people, but then I kind of also I realize that I like to create value for people.
Yes, sir.
There's a podcast, I'm a server by heart. There's a podcast I should share with you guys. That podcast changed my life. But it'll probably be great for business week. Maybe during business week, we'll all listen to it together. It's faster, better, bigger, or something like that. Some people are designed to just help other people build, but anything that is built big is never built for the person. You know, look at I keep using Charlotte Salon as an example. Why do you guys think I'm using that as an example?
Because you was there before, right?
Huh?
You worked there before.
No. I've never actually. I went in there just to be nosy
Oh.
and talk to the owner because I'm trying to get into their head. Like, you don't do hair, or you sat in your living room and say, you know what? How about I create a hub? Because don't forget, before Charlotte Salon came in, before Salon Suite came in, what was the idea that people had? If you have to work in a salon as a student, what would be your only option? To rent a chair. So you have to go deal with somebody that you don't like, and then you rent a chair. Somebody probably walked into a salon and said, I bet she don't like that owner. What if she has her own? That idea was born, and he sold, because stylists don't have to deal with owners. You know, I'm sick of you, I don't like you no more, or I built my clients, or even salon owners like me that are paying big rent, right? Malobi is a good example. She was right down the street across. She's done the big wigs in town here. And she decided, I don't want my space no more, right? And she went to rent a space in a Charlotte salon. She downsized, right? So she didn't have to go to somebody's salon. She's built the business. Imagine if there was no Charlotte salon idea, then she would just be stuck with somebody, right? Close down our place and be stuck in somebody's salon. And now she gotta deal with their crap. But now she don't gotta deal with nobody, right? So it's a great idea. What is the purpose of a Charlotte salon? So stylists can be able to do what they love to do at their convenience. And the fact is, they don't have to spend all that money in bringing the sink. Some salons, most salons comes with the suite. They come with the sink. They come with the station. You just bring yourself and the client, and then you pay. Most of what you pay. You might like at that Charlotte salon right up there. She wanted $1,800 a month. That's cheap. If you've built the business like I've built the business, that's nothing. $1,800 a month, that's nothing.
Because you already got all your clients and stuff.
That's nothing. That's
For the chair.
for a month.
Yeah,
For the boot, huh?
For the boot.
For the salon, for the whole suite.
For the space. Yeah.
What it's not bad because
1,000.
they provide everything for you.
They provide the sink.
They provide everything.
And all you do is bring yourself and your client.
Is that like what you're going for in with the?
But I'm doing mine for student.
Right.
I'm not. If you're a professional, I don't want you.
So everything's gonna be there.
Everything will be there, but for student, because nobody is opening anything. Nobody's opening a space for student, which is more work. Because the truth of it is, the students are still learning. But it's almost like having a salon school. You charge cheap service, the students rent the space, they spend all this time being able to practice, but then they still earn money. They are not paying for the booth. You're not paying for your booth. You just gotta come show up and do the client's hair and build your client.
And then afterwards, works, we get the option to stay.
in a year, you decide, okay, now I'm gonna pay for it because you built that client, but you also get to train. Nobody does that for any student. When students get out, they go find a job, and after time they have to pay for, like one of my students that is working at a salon in Blaine, and she's gonna come and talk to you guys if anybody decide to go over there. And she has a weird way she makes people pay, but they still have to pay about $200 and something $100 and something a week for their chair. And then in a month, you pay your, whatever amount she charges. But then there are other stylists there. It's a 24 chair room and space. Chair. Have 24 chair space. And then what else does she offer? So if you rent a chair, you can sublease your chair,
To somebody else.
which is very nifty. That's what I thought. I'm like,
That's
oh, that's
creative.
cool. Because, if you're not running your chair, you can find somebody on the outside and rent the chair too, and then they pay you, as long as you're paying for the chair. And I think that's chaotic too, in my own opinion. But but that's the way they get very crafty with their business.
And with your goal of your salon that you're creating, is it gonna be like an open space salon where there's stations in a big space?
It's not a salon; it's a suite.
Suite, so it's gonna be different rooms.
Well, my goal is to have it carved out for so
like
something
that.
like that. Are we using a communal sink, or are you gonna have your private sink? That's all. But my goal is to do it for students. I'm not interested in professionals. However, out of those students, they are going to develop into professionals, right? So they can decide to stay, or they can decide to go. So that's my idea of my apprenticing, because if somebody stays there and after a year they're like, oh, I really like it here, I've viewed my client here, I want to stay, or I'm not gonna kick you out, you can stay. You just have to pay to use your space. But for 1 year, I don't charge apprentice. You're on a commission base, but you have to find your client, you have to do the training. But same thing, if people get out of beauty school, sometimes it's very hard for them to stay in the industry because they don't really know where to go, or it's expensive to even start, have their roots in ground, planted on the ground. So half the time, most people in the beauty industry, sometimes they are floating, or they'll go to a salon and then they are not being able to build a business for themselves. But the overall goal in this industry is to be able to build a business for yourself.
That's why I think your apprenticeship is good for me.
Huh?
That's why I think it's good. For
Yeah,
me.
I think so. I think that if every school adopts an app, and you know what's funny? When I say I'm a futurist, I'm a futurist. In Ohio, last week, they just had it in the news that they are starting an apprenticeship program. So for instance, you could either go to cosmetology school or you can go to apprenticeship, which I think is gonna, eventually, everyone is gonna do that. Even Minnesota. In Iowa, they still have their cosmetology program, but because the industry is somewhat dying. The cosmetology idea is dying. The curriculum has to match what's going on. And the curriculum is not. But my curriculum is. So I have to think of how to refine this curriculum over the years of 5 years. Let's talk about business. Over the 5 years, what is more people pivoting towards? They're staying away from chemicals.
Yeah, natural things.
Natural things.
Green, like you said earlier.
So, which is why people are realizing that apprenticeship makes sense, because when you're apprenticed in a salon, you get to do more hands-on versus when you're in school, right? But you still need that education piece. So, all right, let's go and break.
Oh, we've just been chatting. Huh?
Yes. Well, this is a chat class. Yeah, it's a chat class. It's something that's going to require talking.
Yeah.
So, all right, ladies, we'll come back at 4.
You guys should come here.
Huh?
Talk to this screen.
Oh, there's somebody out there?
No.
It just looks
When they
cold
watch.
outside. Oh my God, I gotta learn how to start my car all over again.
Start your car.
Well, I can stop my car while I'm in here, but I forgot how to do that.